Have you ever wondered why your cherished birds suddenly look like they went through a raging pillow fight? Today, you're about to uncover everything, yes, everything, about feather molting in your flock. By the end of this adventure, you'll know precisely how often chickens get that scraggly look, what triggers the phenomenon, the best ways to help them through it, and you'll discover a shocking secret that can drastically change how long or short this bald stage can be. Stick around because I won't spill that nugget until we reach the finish line. Ready? Let's jump in. Naturally, you might be thinking, really? Every single detail? Absolutely. This journey will be filled with unexpected twists, fascinating tidbits, and a hearty dose of humour. After all, we're talking about our fluttery companions who sometimes resemble miniature dinosaurs in fluffy suits, so there's plenty to smile about. One thing's for sure, by the final seconds of this video, you'll be armed with so much knowledge you could teach a molting masterclass. I've spoken with countless chicken keepers who were convinced their flocks were sick or infested when they first witnessed this great feather drop. Some believed a neighbourhood cat was stealthily plucking their prized layers at night. Rest assured, we'll dispel every myth right now. You'll see how this natural phenomenon is as common as a seasonal wardrobe shift, just for birds. And remember the golden nugget I teased? That little piece of wisdom can genuinely shave weeks off the time your hens wander around looking like half-bald beachgoers, but I won't give it away just yet. There's a method to this madness. Building up the suspense will help you appreciate how vital that final reveal is, so buckle up because you're in for a clucking good ride. I'm going to share wild truths about their wardrobe change your feathery pals undergo. Everything from when it usually happens to the real reasons behind it, and even a few weird tips on feeding for maximum fluff. But first, do you see that button down there that says subscribe? If you love seeing your chickens in tip-top shape and you never again want to panic when your coop floor looks like a bunch of cotton candy exploded, go ahead and tap it now. Maybe even peck it with your mouse pointer, just like a hungry hen would do. In my early days of chicken keeping, I remember staring at the coop floor in sheer panic, wondering if a passing tornado had whipped off all those feathers. Turned out it was just the yearly feather carnival that my flock decided to start. Once you recognize the signs, the fear factor goes away, replaced by a sense of excitement because a full, fresh coat is on the horizon. Some folks ask if they should gather up those feathers and do something crafty. Arts and crafts can be fun, but let's not forget the real priority: ensuring your birds have everything they need, from a stress-free environment to the right feed. After we take care of the basics, you can totally plan your next DIY feather earring project. Just maybe don't show your chickens what you're up to. Oh, and keep your eyes peeled for subtle changes in their personality too. Certain hens might act a bit moody. Imagine being forced to wear a super itchy sweater. Others seem completely unbothered and keep strutting around like runway models. Everyone's different, and that's part of the magic we'll dive into next. To start off, let's define what's really going on during this dramatic costume change, often called molting. Think of it as your flock exchanging old ragged jackets for brand new winter coats. Chickens typically do this once a year, usually during autumn. Shorter days mean a gentle nudge from Mother Nature to freshen up that wardrobe. However, some can get spontaneous and lose feathers at the drop of a hat, especially when under stress, like surprise predator visits or wacky weather swings. This isn't just about swapping out some stray fluff, it's a deeply ingrained biological cycle. Imagine your chicken's body saying, "Okay, these feathers have seen better days, it's time for a refresh." Before you know it, there's a grand exodus of plumage. If you've ever found feathers everywhere, From the water dish to the nesting boxes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When this happens en masse, it can look really dramatic, almost like a bizarre crime scene of feathers. But fear not. This is as natural as the leaves changing colour in autumn. In fact, many seasoned poultry enthusiasts see the first flurry of feathers on the ground and think, molting season? Time to break out the high-protein treats? It's worth noting that while most chickens follow the once-a-year schedule, there are always rule breakers in the flock. Some might do partial molts, where they lose smaller patches of feathers in a more discreet fashion, while others go all in. Every bird has its own style of shedding, which leads to some comedic variety in the coop. One day you've got a couple of hens wearing feather vests, the next they're almost fully buff again. It usually starts around 18 months of age for the first major round, but from then on, many birds will have a scheduled feather turnover each year. That's the standard routine, but some sassy hens might do mini sheds in between, like a quick trim at the hair salon instead of a full makeover. How's that for variety? Interestingly, the shift to fewer daylight hours is like a cosmic alarm clock, telling your hens, time to get those new outfits. This is why you'll typically notice molting ramp up as summer transitions into fall. Yet certain flocks can be unpredictable. Some might molt a smidge earlier, others a bit later, especially if they live in a climate that doesn't adhere to typical seasons. You can practically set your watch by some birds. They'll start dropping feathers the same week every year, as if they penciled it into their calendar. Others seem to forget their schedule entirely, catching you off guard with random feathers drifting around in late spring. So if you have a friend who says, all chickens molt in September, take it with a pinch of salt. These birds love to keep us on our toes. When you do notice your flock starting their annual costume swap, make a mental note or jot it down. Tracking these rhythms helps you predict egg supply, manage feed changes, and ensure your feathered ladies have everything they need. No one wants to be blindsided by an empty egg basket when you're planning a Sunday brunch. You might be wondering, why exactly do they ditch their outfits in the first place? Well, worn-down plumage doesn't do a great job of insulation, and brand new fluff is way more efficient at keeping them comfortable. Plus, many hens need a break from laying eggs, so all that energy goes into growing luscious new plumage. It's like hitting the refresh button on a browser, but for chicken attire. Think of it this way. Feathers get frayed, dirty and damaged over time, just like clothes that have been worn too often. By shedding the old stuff, chickens can grow feathers that are stronger and more protective. In colder climates, those fresh feathers are a lifesaver when winter chills roll in. There's also a hormonal component at play. As a chicken's internal clock detects changes in daylight, hormones shift and kickstart the feather-dropping extravaganza. This biological chain reaction is as unstoppable as the tide. Once it starts, it's going to run its course. You can't bargain with a hen about her feathers. Nature calls the shots. And let's not overlook the protective aspect. Feathers are crucial not just for warmth, but also for warding off moisture and helping maintain a hen's overall well-being. If old feathers become brittle or broken, they're less effective. It's a bit like exchanging worn-out tires on your car for brand new ones that'll grip the road with confidence. In the chicken world, a slip in feather quality can mean a chillier, more vulnerable bird. Let's face it, some of our poultry pals get downright ridiculous looking during this period. First, they lose feathers around the head and neck, like they're testing out a bizarre new fashion statement. Then, The back and breast areas might become sparse, giving them that half-dressed vibe you know they don't appreciate. Finally, wings and tail feathers go AWOL, so the coop can resemble a hen-filled confetti party. But don't worry, this is all part of the program. During these stages, you might see pin feathers poking through. These look like tiny tubes or quills and can be quite sensitive to the touch. If you try to pat your chicken during heavy regrowth, be prepared for some side-eye or a squawk. They might act offended, like someone tapping on your fresh sunburn. Every bird handles these phases differently. Some hens become more docile, as though they're conserving energy. Others get extra cranky, like they're annoyed at the paparazzi for catching them in this less than glamorous phase. If you notice mood swings, don't fret. A little extra kindness and tasty treats can help smooth over the rough patches. Keep an eye out for hens that lose so many feathers they're practically half naked. If the weather is chilly, they might need a bit more warmth or some creative coop insulation. Think of it like giving a friend an extra blanket when they're cold, except your friend is a bird who might look at you with suspicion. The big takeaway: watch each stage closely and adapt your care accordingly. Hey, if you're finding this exciting and want to keep your feathered companions looking less like dishevelled bowling balls, peck that like button. Seriously. It lets me know you never want to see a lonesome, half-naked hen ever again. Scene 2. Sharing is caring. You might ask, okay, wise bird whisperer, how can I lend a helping wing? The answer is protein, protein, protein. Well, maybe not a T-bone steak, but definitely high-protein snacks like mealworms, scrambled eggs, ironic, I know, or specialized feed. Boosting those amino acids speeds up feather regrowth, giving your flock that glamorous runway look sooner. And please be gentle. Those pin feathers are delicate, so if you try to cuddle a molting hen, expect a fierce side-eye. Offering a higher protein ration during molting can literally shave weeks off the scruffy phase. Think of it like a bodybuilder chowing down on protein shakes to bulk up. Except here, your hens aren't trying to win a bodybuilding contest. They're trying to rebuild their plumage as soon as possible. If you see them gobbling up more than usual, don't worry. Their calorie needs skyrocket because generating new feathers is like constructing a house from scratch. It takes resources and energy. The bigger the feathers, the higher the nutritional demand. So stock up on those mealworms or protein-packed feeds to keep your flock happy. Also, be mindful about tossing in too many kitchen scraps with low nutritional value. Treats are fun, but if they fill up on bread crusts and leftover pasta, they're missing vital building blocks for feather regrowth. Think quality over quantity. Your job is to be the nutrition coach who ensures they get the right macros for optimal growth. Nobody likes a meltdown, especially your winged buddies. Keep their living space calm and comfy. Limit loud noises and overcrowding, or you might see them extend this phase simply from anxiety. A tranquil environment plus nutrient-dense feed equals less time looking like they've been through a blender. Stress can really slow down feather regrowth. If your hens are continually spooked, maybe by a noisy leaf blower or an overly curious dog, they might be too preoccupied to channel energy into new plumage. It's kind of like trying to focus on homework when there's a rock concert next door. Impossible! Consider rearranging your coop to create quiet corners where molting hens can retreat. Sometimes, providing a safe space with a bit more privacy can do wonders. Fewer distractions mean they can focus on feeling secure and growing those much-needed feathers. When in doubt, think about how you'd like to relax if your hair was falling out in clumps. Finally, remember that diet and stress are closely linked. A bird that's anxious often eats less, which delays the entire process. By reducing tension in their environment, you're also boosting their appetite, leading to faster regrowth. It's a win-win, especially when you're hoping to see them back to their fluffy glory as soon as possible. Here's a twist you might not see coming. If a chicken encounters a severe fright, say a raccoon cameo at midnight, or endures extreme temperature changes, they might experience a rapid emergency molt. Feathers could start dropping like confetti at a New Year's bash, seemingly overnight. It's their body's way of coping with major stressors, which can feel alarming, but with the right TLC, they'll bounce back soon enough. This rapid response can be your flock's way of hitting the reset button. When confronted with traumatic events or sudden environmental changes, their systems sometimes decide, let's drop these old feathers and come back even stronger. It's a bit like a phoenix rising from the ashes, but with extra chaos in between. The key is recognizing an emergency molt versus a routine one. If you notice an unusually high volume of feathers dropped in a single day, or if your chickens appear extremely stressed, pacing, vocalizing non-stop, or acting lethargic, you might be dealing with this accelerated phenomenon. Watch closely and make sure they have a peaceful place to recover. Providing extra protein and limiting disturbances can help them bounce back more quickly. Think of it like emotional support combined with nutritional support. Keep potential predators or rowdy pets away. Dim loud noises and offer nutritious snacks. These small steps can drastically reduce the duration of this frantic feather fall. If you've ever seen your flock transform from fluffy supermodels to awkward dinosaurs in record time, drop a comment below and let me know what you thought was happening at first. Maybe you suspected alien abduction, or you believed your neighbor's dog had something to do with it. I'm curious, so spill those stories. I still remember my neighbor frantically knocking on my door, feathers in hand, demanding to know if a stealthy thief was sneaking into his coop. Spoiler alert, it was just a classic molt. The relief on his face was priceless, and we had a good laugh about it afterward. Reading others' experiences in the comments can be a goldmine of reassurance and tips. Sometimes you'll find out that someone's chickens started molting in the middle of a rainy season, or right when a thunderstorm happened, and it led to an extra weird combination of soggy feathers everywhere. Don't be shy if your story is wacky, like discovering a mass of feathers right after binge-watching a horror movie. Post your puzzling or hilarious experiences below. There's always someone else who's been through the exact same meltdown, pun intended. There you have it. Don't panic if your alpha hen resembles a feather duster gone wrong. This phenomenon is part of the natural cycle. But remember, certain poultry types can lose and regain their attire in the blink of an eye, while others might take their sweet time. Every flock is a little different. I've heard countless folks say, "My chicken must be sick. It looks so raggedy." Often, this is just a normal molt, not a disease. However, it's wise to do a quick health check, just to be sure you're not ignoring a legit problem, like mites or lice piggybacking on the situation. As for the egg-laying rumour, that's another big one. True, production often grinds to a halt during molting, but your hen isn't retiring. She's just on a feather-focused vacation. Once she's done, you'll likely see those eggs rolling in again. It might even feel like a mini miracle when she resumes laying. Finally, if you're new to raising different breeds, don't be surprised when some hens whiz through their molt in a few weeks, while others drag it out for months. It's not that they're being lazy. Some birds are simply genetically wired to molt more gradually. Embrace the variety because it keeps the coop interesting. Of course, there's still that little detail I teased earlier, the weird trick that can make or break your entire experience with feather renewal. You might be itching to know. I promise it's coming soon. I've hinted at this magical piece of the puzzle a couple of times, and trust me, the payoff is worth it. This trick is something many seasoned chicken keepers either swear by or steer clear of, depending on their philosophy. Controversial? Just a smidge. Effective? Absolutely, if used wisely. Don't worry, I'm not suggesting you buy them feather wigs or force them to watch motivational videos about regrowth. This is a real, practical method that can either hasten or delay the entire process, depending on your goals. Intrigued? Good! But before I unveil it, you need a solid foundation in all these other details we've been covering. Why? Because you'll understand the risks and rewards much better. Let's face it, you wouldn't build a house without first laying down a sturdy base, right? Same principle here. Pin feathers are basically baby quills. Don't yank them unless you enjoy hearing your hens shriek. Some flocks might get super hungry during this transition, like they're channeling their inner sumo wrestler. Egg production tends to slow down significantly, so don't be alarmed if you get fewer omelettes for breakfast. There you have it. Don't panic if your alpha hen resembles a feather duster gone wrong. This phenomenon is part of the natural cycle. But remember, certain poultry types can lose and regain their attire in the blink of an eye, while others might take their sweet time. Every flock is a little different. If you're ever worried, do a quick spot check. Examine their skin for irritation, see if they're eating well, and observe how they socialize with the rest of the gang. If everything seems okay, chances are it's just the usual fluff swap. Also, keep in mind that the first time your birds molt can be the most startling, both for them and for you. You'll get used to it, though. By the second or third molt, you'll be a total pro, calmly scooping up feathers and reusing them for crafts. Or not, I won't judge. Lastly, don't underestimate the comedic value. Watching a half-bald rooster try to strut can be the highlight of your week. Embrace the silliness. You'll have plenty of time to admire their fresh new look once the process wraps up. All right, that shocking secret you've been waiting for? Here it is, lighting manipulation. By adding gentle artificial light in the coop or restricting it, you can significantly influence how swiftly your hens complete this transformation. More light can push them to start or end molting earlier, while less can delay it depending on what you're aiming for. Use this with caution though, because tampering with nature can stress them out if overdone. Balance is everything. Now you know all the ins and outs of this mesmerizing process, from the first stray feather to the final flourish of brand new plumage. Use these insights wisely and watch your chickens strut their stuff in record time.